going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media. It has been a very long time since I said that. It's been probably around 2 weeks, which is absolutely crazy. Been a very long time. So, Joshua, thank you so much for doing all the great streams, and shout out to all the viewers that are coming into those streams asking some great questions. I was able to pop in pretty rarely, but I was able to pop in every once in a while to see what was going on. But how are you doing? What are you thinking about this team right now?
Hey man, you know me, and before we even get started, I'm my brother's keeper. So when one of my brothers falling, I'm gonna pick him up. So that's what we're gonna do. That's what we do here at the TTB family. Now let's get into it. It's Wednesday. The Ravens just lost a questionable nail biter to the AFC North rival team Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers that I believe before that game was 5-5-1. Now we just made them 6-5-1. Correct me if I'm wrong. They tied with
That's correct. Yeah.
they tied with the Detroit Lions. And we had that questionable play. We was able to make the drive and get the touchdown, but it came down to either getting the extra point or the 2-point conversion. And what did my team do? I see John Harbaugh, the guys that they want to elect as coach of the year, as he hold his hand up. He want to go for two. He want to go for 2 points against a team that's been zero blitzing my quarterback all game. He wants to go for two when your quarterback has not been playing his best game in the past couple games. So how do I really feel? I feel a little my spirit feels a little vexed about the Ravens right now. And then on top of that, our corner that's been overworked and hasn't been living up to the expectations this season is now out for the season. So so my spirit is vexed right now. And me personally, Ravens Flyer TTB family, for a Raven, me being a Ravens fan, I just want to hang it up. I want to hang it up and get my guys healthy, get some draft picks, get my boy Lamar, a contract, get him some real coaching from a real quarterback coach, and let the game be as fun as it used to be for him, because he's not playing like the game is fun for him anymore. He's playing with a sense of urgency, but the way this urgency that he's playing with is it's hurting us, because he has that hero. He's playing hero ball right now, and it's no good for us right now. So.
Yeah, and you see all the guys in the chat. Shout out to Jacob and Yitzhak, and Joshua will be back in a second. But and Yolanda and Lisa. But Joshua, you brought something up, the 2-point conversion attempt. I have to say, I loved going for two. The Ravens scored, and I was thinking, go for two. That was my whole thought process on it. I felt like the way that the game was going, the momentum, if the Steelers got the ball, and I didn't even know about the cornerback injuries. John Harbaugh after the game was like, yeah, we were basically out of corners. But I didn't know about that. I just knew, like, what? The Steelers recently have been – the Steelers, I felt like, had all the momentum. And I was looking at it like, okay, let's go for two. When I think that, I go, okay, what do I think the Ravens should do? What do I think the Steelers will do? And I was like, the Steelers are going to blitz. The Steelers are absolutely going to blitz. They weren't blitzing on that drive because they understood that the Ravens are in no huddle, and they're just trying to not allow the big play. Don't allow Hollywood over the top. They're going to play prevent defense. The Ravens were able to go underneath. They were able to do all the things that they needed to do to get down the field and then hit Sammy Watkins for that touchdown, which I believe was that Sammy's first touchdown of the year?
First touchdown of the year.
Yeah. And it was like a great drive because the Ravens were like not getting blitzed, and Lamar was able to make the plays he needed to make. But it's like the Ravens forgot that the Steelers, the whole game, were blitzing him. That was the whole game. Hit Lamar Jackson. And there are ways to counter the zero blitz. There are ways to counter amazing players like TJ Watt. The Ravens did neither of those things. And they actually played into the zero blitz and into TJ Watt, the best player, not on the Steelers defense, but on the Steelers, and maybe the best player in the AFC. Maybe. Like, one of the best players in football in TJ Watt. And they played right into his hands, and they said, and I understand the concept. The concept wasn't that bad for a different situation. Leak the tight end out, have the, runner get through, so then they forget about the tight end. That's great. but don't have the runner be TJ Watt. And also, when you know they're going to run a zero blitz, don't add in play action. That made no sense to me. It made the play take significantly longer to develop, which allowed the zero blitz, which you knew was coming, to get to the quarterback faster. Let Lamar catch the ball and throw it quickly to a slant over the middle, which, Joshua, we talk about this, feels like every week, where the slant's at. And they were doing the slants in the final drive because everyone was playing back, and they were hitting Duvernay. They were hitting, I think they hit Hollywood on a dig or something like that over the middle, like really quickly. That's what they were doing. It wasn't any sort of like, oh, let's do play action, try and avoid the. No. They called a play, and they were like, yeah, hit them quickly. Lamar, get the ball out quick. And that's what they were doing. And they, yes, it's a play that's designed to be relatively quick, but when you have a player as great as TJ Watt on the other side, it's a different story. If it was against trying to think of like a decent edge rusher, even if it was a guy like, I don't want to throw any respect. The dude has been balling this year, but a Matthew Judon, very, very good player, but he's not a TJ Watt.
Jones.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody that's not going to get off nearly as quickly as TJ Watt or be as big of a threat to sack the quarterback, because Lamar knows it's very difficult to get out of the way from TJ Watt off the edge. He knows that he can't run around him. Mm-hmm. So that was really difficult. But I don't know, that was just such a bad play call in my opinion, but I loved going for it. I just really hated the play call. I just felt like have Devontae Freeman block, have him like hit TJ Watt, slow him down, do something, run it not to TJ Watt's side and have him be the free rusher, run it to the other side. So then it's Chris Wormley, even though shout out to Chris Wormley, great game.
Yeah, he balled for sure.
He's no TJ Watt. He's not as athletic.
Right.
Let him be the free rusher. Don't have TJ Watt jumping in your face. But it was tough. It was tough. But, I still have faith in Lamar. I don't think, I wanted to go for it. It was just like, that throw, if he made that throw to Andrews, it would have been an amazing throw. But, sometimes those throws aren't made. Those difficult throws aren't made. And, Mark Andrews, he maybe could have caught it, but if he caught it, I still thought it would have been a diving, falling catch where
somebody would have touched him.
He would have been touched down, because nobody, if you watch the rest of the guys' routes, only one player ran a route, and it was Hollywood. Hollywood ran a route. He ran a kind of route. It wasn't a great route. It was basically a slant and stick in the middle, but Sammy Watkins ran like he was blocking. And Devin Duvernay was supposed to block the safety that was going to be able to come over and get Mark Andrews, but he didn't block him. He completely missed him. So the guy running full speed of Mark Andrews was going to be able to get there. But tough play on that one. And then obviously losing Marlon for the rest of the season is another tough one. But Yitzhak says in that play, we really need one guy, Nick Boyle,
to chip back TJ.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly, without Nick that game, it definitely played a huge significance, because I thought for sure that Nick Boyle out. Okay, we still had Patrick McCard, and he's going to come in, do the dirty work that Nick Boyle will do. But hell, also shout out to Nate McCurry. He even stuck his body out there when TJ Watt came rushing in the backfield too. So Nick Boyle was definitely missed for this game for sure. I agree with that.
Yeah, and this rushing attack it's so dependent on Lamar. And also I think Nick Boyle has a big impact on that, just overall, just his blocking ability. But this game just showed, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I started the Steelers defense in fantasy because I know how the Steelers defense plays against Lamar Jackson. I wasn't expecting Lamar to have a great game. I was expecting him to struggle, and I felt like he did struggle. And the biggest thing that I think Lamar has started to really struggle with this year is he's DTMing. He's doing too much. That interception that he threw to Mark Andrews, it wasn't a one-time occurrence. It's happened multiple times this year. Best example, Chiefs game, Tyrann Mathieu interception. He's He's getting himself into these situations where he has to score points. And that's not his. I mean, the defense has been struggling. The Ravens do need to score touchdowns in these big games, but he needs to settle down, I think, in a lot of situations. And I think the Ravens, I'm not trying to blame Lamar. I think it's the whole team is struggling right now with the zero blitz. And Lamar's getting it, and he's 3-step dropping. And when he's dropping, he doesn't want to throw off the back foot, so he starts kind of escaping backwards and running away and getting himself into trouble. Now, made a great play against the Browns doing that exact same thing. So it's kind of a give and take situation. But I just feel like when we look at this team, how can they deal with the zero blitz, Joshua?
Right now, he's pulling the Patrick Mahomes without the great plays behind it. We know Pat the run backwards all damn near 20 yards and still can throw a 60-yard bomb and get a touchdown. You can't say, "Oh yeah, we've been practicing. We practice against zero cover blitz." Your quarterback can't say, "Oh yeah, we run." We had plays against zero cover blitzes, and still it doesn't translate or correlate to on the field play. I think that's something we've been talking about. The defenses haven't figured Lamar Jackson out. Defenses have figured out the offensive scheme that the Ravens run. And we never have, I won't say never. It seems like we don't have real check down plays for Lamar. Because now, the blame is Lamar checks it down to screenplays, which I don't believe. But hey, not going to get into that discussion. But right now, I don't know what we're going to do. You can't keep on talking about, you do this in practice, you have these type of designs or schemes or plays and stuff like that, and it's still not correlating to Sunday or Monday or Thursday night. Like, something has to give.
Yeah, and I just think it's so frustrating that the Ravens can't do it, because all they need to do is have those quick plays that are designed, because it's not like it's just 3rd and 15. Like, the Ravens will run cover zero in 3rd and 15. And it's like they want to hit you. Like, teams aren't really doing that against the Ravens. It's typically like 1st and 10, 2nd and 7, and they come all after Lamar. And it's like, those are the times where you can call a quick play on 1st and 10. It doesn't have to be like, if you notice, because it's cover zero is typically pretty easy to notice. You typically will know unless they run a disguise. But then if it's disguised, it's going to take longer for the extra pressure to get there. So it's not as effective as a, non-disguised cover zero. So when it's going to be cover zero, or you're expecting it, maybe they fake the cover zero and they drop some guys back. Just run a play that's designed to be short. It doesn't have to be a screen, but like, all you need to do is get a drag route, get Duvernay running underneath, get Mark Andrews running in the seam, and get Hollywood on a slant and block the running back, or and just block the running back. And it's like right there, that gives Lamar 3 options quickly. If he notices it's cover zero, and if they're playing off of Devin Duvernay, he's going to be open every time. He's going to be open.
Yeah.
If they're playing off. So if they're playing off in cover zero, you can hit the guy quickly. So hit the guy in the slot, because typically a slot receiver is not going to get pressed unless you're in a really tight situation. And if he is getting pressed, then have him run a route, and then you can use the speed, right? With Hollywood and Devin Duvernay. Like, if they're getting pressed, they can beat the press and get behind him relatively quickly. So it's just, and I'm not saying it's like AD adds, I guess, says like, if it was so easy, you do it. Like, it's not that obviously the NFL is more complex than we're making it out to seem, but the simple understanding of cover zero is that you don't have a lot of time to throw. You need to be able to throw the ball quickly. How do you throw the ball quickly? Quick routes. What are quick routes? Slants, drags, like comeback routes. That's it. No deep posts. No, deep throw. It seems like half the time when the Ravens go against cover zero, it's like you see 3 deep routes on the field. And you're like, what is happening? It was so obvious that they were blitzing. Like, I don't know. It's very interesting to see how they're doing it. And
this right here. This right here, that's something we've been talking about for I don't know how long. But the sad thing is, it don't matter how much he's outgrown this offense. That trio's not going nowhere. John Harbaugh's not going nowhere. Greg Roman's not going nowhere. So that's why it's so frustrating for me as a fan right now. Yeah.
And ads, I think, is like thinking that like we're slandering Lamar. No, we're not slandering Lamar. We're slandering
anti-PPB. Which one?
Yeah, we're slandering Greg Roman, and he's not giving Lamar the plays to let him throw it quickly because I think he can. He's hit slant routes before.
Yeah.
Like, so that's the issue, is it's Greg Roman. We're not blaming Lamar Jackson. When we're talking about running those plays, we're not saying it's Lamar Jackson. We're saying that's Greg Roman not giving Lamar the plays to be able to do it. That's the issue. Like, it's not about Lamar not being able to throw slant routes or anything like that. It's that the Ravens don't run slant routes and they don't run the short underneath routes. And Yitzhak, you say like maybe use a jet sweep. I think that's too risky in my opinion. I don't like that because like while it could be a big play, when it's 2nd and 7 and it's a cover zero, there's a chance that you hit Devin Duvernay or whatever. Typically it's Duvernay, maybe it's Hollywood on a jet sweep. They set that edge and they bounce him outside and you lose 5, 7, 10 yards. Like a lot of times you can see that's difficult. Now I do like jet sweeps. I think the Ravens ran a great play on I think it was a fake jet sweep to Duvernay, handoff inside to Devontae Freeman. Great play. Like that's the type of stuff that I was like, that's Greg Roman. That's the benefit that he can give your team. But then we also see the negative of not adjusting.
Ooh.
You looking at this one?
Yes.
Yeah, I figured, dude. Yeah. We're not going to keep him on the field in 3 wide receiver sets. What's the point of keeping him or draft him? I'm not upset that in that final play he wasn't used because of what the play was situationally. It was a block, and Devin Duvernay, I think, since he's used more in like those plays and situations like that, I think they were probably more worried about Duvernay running across the field than they were about Rashad Bateman. That's what I felt like they were trying to go with there, like situationally, like that. But I mean, I think Devin Duvernay is the best slot receiver that the Ravens have. So, like, I think Bateman's just got to switch out with Hollywood and Sammy. I think it's more switching out with Sammy. But I mean, we talked about it, Joshua. Like, Duvernay's going to be out there on the field in a lot of 3 wide receiver sets. So it just takes some time. Like, remember, Sammy's not going to be here next year. Right. Bateman's going to be out there pretty much every play next year. So it's really just getting him used to everything.
Okay, I like that you said that. So I guess the real question is, okay, if we with Bateman being out there down there every snap, will he be actually used and not just be a decoy in the sense of Sammy Watkins or a Miles Boykin? Will he really be utilized to his talent?
The age-old question. Will Greg Roman be coaching next year? That's the only way to answer the question, because Greg Roman's not going to use him. He's not. Like, I mean, that's the issue. And Lisa says, what do you guys think about John using the Wildcat? I don't like the Wildcat. Why? Because the Ravens are running Wildcat every single play with Lamar Jackson. Not because he's a running back, because he has the ability to run. Why? When you call Wildcat, you're putting the ball directly in your best runner's hands. The Ravens do that in shotgun.
Literally.
When Lamar gets the ball, he's always a threat to run. So I don't think Wildcat is that great. The only other reason is if you go, okay, we want to run Wildcat on a 4th and 1, just get every offensive lineman possible. So then we have a bit bigger of a guy, get like a Nate McCrary, Latavius Murray, or somebody like that to hit that hole a little bit harder than Lamar would because they're a little bit, they're going to fall forward a little bit better. That's the only situation I see the Ravens ever using Wildcat in, but I still think that like just having Lamar running shotgun and running a QB draw or power with Ricard motioning has worked pretty well. But I don't know. What do you think, Joshua?
Honestly, the only team that's really made it work is Miami. I mean, hell, they even brought it back with Miles Gaskins just last week, and they was doing the thing. So I don't think that's for us. Do I feel like we need creativity? Do I feel like we need something that's going to throw every team off their seat so they don't know how to prepare for us? Yeah, I agree with that. But I don't think that running the Wildcat will be as effective just for the simple fact that we already have a whole bunch of linemen. We all just about go 22 personnel almost every time. So I don't feel like it's going to be effective for us.
I agree with that. Yaman says, what's the possibility of signing Zach Cunningham, linebacker cut by the Texans? I would love it. I think that would be a terrific signing for the Ravens.
I don't think that would be bad at all, honestly.
I mean, the Ravens need linebackers, and why not? Why not get him in there? I mean, nothing against Christian Welch. Nothing against Malik Harrison, Patrick Queen, Josh Bynes. Good players. But get another guy in the locker room. I don't think it hurts to get him on the practice squad, something like that. I think that I would really like that.
Yeah, and on top of that, Zach Cunningham was definitely a physical. He's a physical linebacker. He knows how to get to the ball, and he was a cornerstone for the Texans defense at one point too. So I mean, bringing in another veteran, their leadership and things of that nature. I think that would be a dope signing. Then we got to look at it too. We won't have LJ next year as well. So because we signed back to a 1-year contract, I believe. So yeah, I think So I mean, I would like it.
Wide receivers next year. Sammy leaves. Who do you think we sign? I'm gonna say nobody. Maybe the Ravens go out and sign I think the Ravens are more likely to not. I don't think they'll get anybody. I don't think they need anybody. I think that they fully have confidence in Hollywood. I think they've shown that. I think they have full confidence in Bateman. I think they have a lot of confidence in Duvernay. And then they like Prochet, and they draft Tylan Wallace. Maybe the Ravens draft a guy in the 6th round, something like that. They pick up an undrafted player. Remember how difficult it was to figure out who was going to make. They still have Miles Boykin too. I think the Ravens keep him. I think they keep all their wide receivers without Sammy. And I think that they may have a better wide receiver core because it'll be a full year of practice with Rashad Bateman. Everybody will get used to the offense. And then maybe they have some camp battles with maybe some veterans that are, looking for maybe a last chance. Maybe, but I don't think they're going to go out and spend money on wide receivers. I think they have too many issues to address. And wide receiver that hasn't been the problem this year. I don't think anybody can look at the wide receivers and say that's been the problem. The problem has been the line and the play calling offensively and the running backs. But our running backs are injured. So that's going to be fixed next year. So really what we have to fix next year, play calling, offensive line. That's it, in my opinion, for the offense.
Sammy leaves. Who do you think we signed? I want to piggyback off that, but at the same time, the way the Ravens play, we do know how to find guys that's on their last leg, almost their career. We kind of rejuvenate them. I know Marvin Jones is not playing the best of football right now, but I feel like if we were to bring a Marvin Jones in, I don't know what his contract looked like wherever he signed to. I know he wanted to get paid big bucks, but I mean, if he wants to be with a contender, possibly yes. But at the same time, I kind of like the Hollywood, Bateman, and Duvernay. I like that wide receiving core. Me personally, if James Prochet took a bigger step in his career this year, I would actually like him to be on the opposite side of Bateman and have Hollywood actually work the middle, because Hollywood, you pretty much can line Hollywood up anywhere, and his career is going to continue to thrive. Whether you put him in the backfield, even him and Duvernay, like you literally can run some plays with them in the backfield, they motion out, and something great, something special can happen. So I mean, it's so many different ways and creative you can get, but those we got 10 picks, and then possibly the way Matthew Judon is playing, I don't know how that's going to work. Maybe that becomes a solid third round or second pick. I don't know for sure with the compulsory pick, but I mean, you're looking at possibly some solid moves in those first 4 rounds where you can get offensive lineman, defensive lineman, a solid corner. I don't know what the future holds for Deshaun Elliott and Juice Man.
I see a great question here, or not question, but kind of idea. Defund the defense. Make it to where Lamar has no excuse. Should the Ravens stop being the Ravens and focus on offense rather than defense? Because the defense, guys that could leave next year, Deshaun Elliott, Calais Campbell, Brandon Williams, Marcus Peters. Is there anybody else that's big?
Ford.
Derek Wolfe?
Yeah. I think Penelman Fee as well.
Tavon?
Damn.
I mean, the only guys that are really locked up, I want to say, are Anthony Averett, Marlon Humphrey, and Chuck Clark.
Averett's done too. We get us.
That's right. Oh my goodness. So I guess it's just Chuck Clark and Marlon Humphrey and Patrick Queen and Malik Harrison, and then Adafe Owe and Tyus Bowser.
Yeah,
are the main guys still there. So I would agree with this. I would agree with this. Draft heavy at corner, draft heavy at secondary, and D line / edge rusher, because we also have Dalen Hayes. Remember,
and also if we go into the draft for defensive lineman, there is a young man that came out of DC named Xavier Williams that went to Tennessee and transferred over to FAMU. And I mean, hell, that boy right there, you can line him up in a 3-4 scheme. He can go inside and outside. Boy's nasty, 6'4", 290 pounder. He almost what's the young man from Georgia? He's almost like him, but he doesn't have the height.
Davis.
Yeah.
I can't remember his first name, but Davis. I know who you're talking about. One thing I got to say about Davis, I see a lot of Ravens fans really want him. I don't want him. I like him. I love watching him. I think he could be a really good player, but I don't think he fits the modern NFL. I just he can't. He's basically another Brandon Williams, but I don't want that. I don't know. I still want D tackle in the draft, but I want more of an athletic guy, similar to more how Christian Barmore was out of Alabama last year that the Patriots got. Barmore's been a monster for the Patriots this year, doing really good at getting pressures and pushing the pocket. But I just think I think we draft heavy on defense. That's what the Ravens draft. Replace Calais, replace Marcus Peters. But, we can replace Marcus Peters with Anthony Averett, or, if we don't re-sign Averett, draft a guy. The Ravens have been actually pretty good at drafting cornerbacks. That's actually been early cornerbacks.
Yeah.
Marlon, they drafted in the first round. They drafted Averett, I think, in the third round. The last, bust corner, I would say, is Amon Marshall, but he got hurt.
Yeah, he really didn't see no film.
I mean, I think he's still on the Ravens.
I think so too. Yeah.
So
USC or UCLA?
He went to USC.
Okay.
So the Ravens have been good at drafting, and they've been good at drafting secondary. Look at Deshaun Elliott. I think was a good pick. He just got hurt a lot. Chuck Clark in the 5th round. So I think that then offensive line, get good veterans. Don't get cheap ones like Villanueva. Go out there like the 49ers did getting Trent Williams. Go out there like the Patriots, I think, brought in some guys this year. I can't really remember who exactly it was, but Like, go out there and get yourself a good right tackle and draft one. You know, we got 10 picks, guys. Draft one in the fourth round. Like, the Ravens drafted Tyree Phillips in the 4th or 5th round.
Yeah.
Now, he's a terrible tackle, but he's actually a pretty good guard. He's a good guard. Like, so, the Ravens drafted Bradley Bozeman. You know, he switched him over to center, and he's all of a sudden, it's like, wow. I mean, he was a good guard as well, but.
Speaking of Bozeman, I think his contract might be up this year too.
Yes, Bozeman's contract. I think the Ravens will probably re-sign him. I'm probably going to expect that they re-sign him. I think he's been.
I wouldn't mind it. Yeah, he's played solid. You know, outside of him and a little bit of injuries, the nicks and bruises here and there, but yeah, he's been doing his thing.
So also shout out to Nana. Shout out to is it Andre? Yes, Andre. Shout out to you guys. It's great to be back, but like, I don't know. I just think offensively, like, signing the offensive line, because drafting him, you're not going to be able to draft a guy and have him play right away. I mean, we've seen that with Ben Cleveland, a 3rd rounder who we still have high hopes for. I mean, next year he could be the starting guard.
Honestly, they're just doing it to Ben Cleveland for whatever reason. I don't know why. That's stupid as hell to me. Like, I don't know if you've been reading, but actually they are pairing us with the 6'9" right tackle from Minnesota.
I remember I was watching a Minnesota game last year, and I was watching, and I was like, who the heck is this guy? Because I was not watching Rashad Bateman. I was watching the tackle. I was like, who is this guy? And I looked him up or whatever, and I was like, okay, this guy could be a monster. Like, he could be great. Like, that's a guy the Ravens can absolutely draft him. Like, but it's just like, in my opinion, like, when you draft a guy in the, like, an offensive lineman like that, when you're a team that's trying to compete, drafting an O lineman is going to be tough. It's very difficult to find a surefire O lineman, especially a first-year surefire O lineman. It happens. Creed Humphrey is a great example of it.
Sewell.
Yeah, Penei Sewell. Rashawn Slater has been great. But I just think that the Ravens got to go out there and sign some guys.
They got to spend money. They're literally like the Orioles. The Orioles do not spend money.
And that's Kevin Zeitler. Has Zeitler been decent? I think Zeitler's been a decent signing.
Zeitler, you know what? It's so much that happens on the edge that you really don't see the interior as much getting beat on. Now, you see that left side between Ben Powers and Villanueva. You see them get beat on. But between Bradley Bozeman and Kevin Zeitler, you don't see them get beat on as much.
0 sacks allowed for Kevin Zeitler. Pretty good. 6 penalties, but 0 sacks allowed. So that's something that's, we would absolutely take, like, those types of signings where it's like, yeah, here's a really good guy. They're not spending as much as the guard from the Patriots signed for, I think, in Kansas City. Was it Turner? Blanking on his name. But, overall, like, I think sign offensive line. They have the weapons. It's just the offensive line. They've got the running backs locked up. They've got good wide receivers. They've got, one of the best tight end. He's been playing like the best tight end in the NFL this year. Mark Andrews, one of the best graded run blocking and pass catching tight ends. Yep. So the offense is set once the offensive line is good. So sign the offensive line and rebuild the defense while you're trying to build up this great offense, because this is now a turning point, because you have a cornerstone and a hopeful cornerstone. You've got Marlon. Marlon is a cornerstone piece. Yep. And you're hoping Patrick Queen, even though he struggled very early, he's still super young. You have Adafe Owe, who has looked like he could be very good. Yep. Bowser has stepped up after his contract. He's been decent. D tackle, if you don't have a great D tackle, it's not the end of the world. But if you draft a guy and you become, like, you don't notice, like, poor D tackles too often, because, like, a good linebacker can make up for a poor D tackle in the run game and things like that. So, like, yes, Brandon Williams could be missed. But we have Matabike.
Yeah, him and Broderick, like, they actually play good ball.
So it's just something where it's like, draft the corners, draft the secondary, draft the edge rushers, and pay the offensive line.
So, okay.
And get a new punter. I'm sorry.
Ooh.
I said it. I think Cook is – I love Cook, but I think it's just time. Maybe get him one more throw in, one more pass, but I don't know. I just think it's time for him to move on, draft a new guy. But
he's definitely been solid.
The only issue is great holder for Justin Tucker. It's the only thing that's like keeping him here, I think. I don't think it's the punting. I think the punting is definitely fallen off, but he's a great holder. So
now, I mean, okay, we got a lot of pieces. Justice Hill, is he someone else that's I mean, he's good special teams, but he's not really.
I think Justice Hill it's time for him to go.
Where he literally needs a fresh start.
Yeah, I just think that the Ravens can get, even though he's good on special teams, the Ravens can get good special teams out of a young guy that they draft or find an undrafted player. Find an undrafted running back. The Ravens can do that. Look at what they did with Nate McCrary. Look at what they did with Tyson Williams. Find a guy that's willing to help on special teams. That would be different. Like Nate McCrary and Tyson Williams don't have the build to be like a special teams player. Like they're not like crazy fast or anything like that. Mm-hmm. Get a speedster like Justice Hill was. Get him undrafted. Get him in the 6th, 7th round or whatever, or a corner. They're also able to be good special teamers. Get someone like that. Get him out there. You can replace that, but it's tough. I see Esmond asks, do you think the offense gets back on track versus the Browns? And the second part of my questions is, do you think we win?
I'll let you answer that one. Oh, also, Patrick Ricard is a free agent next year, too.
I think let Patrick Ricard walk. Fullback is easy to replace because there's always a college fullback that nobody drafts. I mean, we thought it was really dumb of the Ravens to really draft Ben Mason and not have it. Like, the goal with Ben Mason was to have him replace Patrick Ricard next year, but obviously he isn't going to. But just get a tight end. A big tight end or somebody like that, or a fullback, and they can do Patrick Ricard's job. But this week, Cleveland Browns, I'm going to say no. It's a rivalry game. Yeah. The Browns have had a week after the Ravens just struggled against them, and I think that they are going to come out hot, and I think it's going to be tough. It's going to be a really tough game, but guys, look at who they have. They got Myles Garrett. They got Jadeveon Clowney. If the Ravens are still calling plays, that is allowing freaks of nature like that to come free at Lamar. And then even when they're not, I mean, we lost Patrick McCarry.
Also, he also be a free agent next year too. I just pulled them all up.
Patrick McCarry. I mean, Ravens could re-sign Patrick McCarry next year. I'd be okay with that. He's been played pretty good, but it's going to be tough to block those guys. It's going to be really tough. So even if the offense plays well, I don't expect it to be a crazy showcase game just because I think Myles Garrett is going to feast and Jadeveon Clowney could have a really good game as well. So, but I do think the Ravens can still absolutely win the game.
They literally, the time of possession has to be 10 minutes and over. Have to be 10 minutes and over. And they have to run the ball efficiently. And if they pass, it has to be quick as hell.
How do they run the ball efficiently? Do they use a particular running back?
Devontae Freeman. I'm not even sorry to say that, honestly. Like Devontae Freeman he's almost like he's one of those 400 yard type of guy, track guys. You get faster the more you keep going around. His legs are getting stronger, as the season's been progressing. So, shout out to him and how he's actually been, making things work. I mean, he definitely showed that he lost a step, but he still showed that he can, he still had that burst and he can, break a tackle here and there and can excel when need to be. So, that Steelers game, I definitely feel like he looked pretty good. He definitely gave a strong running.
This was true all season.
Yeah.
But that's the problem with Wink Martindale, and that's why I've been very critical of him. Is the Ravens very clearly don't have the type of defense that he wants to run, and he's being too stubborn in running the defense he wants to run anyway when they don't have the players. If you've got Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, shoot a lot of threes. But if your backcourt is Russell Westbrook and DeMar DeRozan, don't go out there and say shoot threes all game. And that's what Wink Martindale is doing. He's got Russell Westbrook and DeMar DeRozan. He's chucking threes. And they're not three-point shooters. So that's why I've not been happy with Wink Martindale this season.
He's not taking his personnel right now and truly and effectively analyzing them and understand, like, okay, what can I do to make a proper defensive scheme in order for these guys to excel? He's not doing that. He's not doing that.
Absolutely.
Now, I keep on saying that Miami, when we played against Miami this season, they literally had no wide receivers. No starting wide receivers at that. Tua was dealing with a broken finger, whatever the case may have been. They had Jacoby Brissett. Even when they had Jacoby Brissett, they had a offensive scheme due to their person that worked towards their personnel, and also worked towards the type of defense that they was going against, and they made it effective, and they won. That's what separates, the good from the greats. I mean, granted, Miami still going to lose, but they made sure they had our number.
Absolutely. Oh man. All right. I think that's probably a good spot to wrap up the stream. The return stream. Guys, the daily content should be starting up tomorrow. Back with the daily content. But thank you everybody so much for coming into the stream, for joining, asking all the great questions. It's great to be back. I've been antsing to try and get back. But Joshua, do you have anything else to say before we wrap it up?
Not too much, man. Listen, y'all, at the end of the day, mental health is important. These guys, that play, that we love watching play, man, whether it's football, baseball, hockey, hell, even boxing, even cricket, always take care of your mental. The game is always 90% mental, 10% physical. So, make sure, taking care of yourself. In the words of Marshawn Lynch, get your chicken right. You know what I'm saying? So, listen, man, it's good to have my brother back, and we're gonna get back to the daily, to our regular, man. So we see y'all Sunday.
All right, guys. See y'all again for the pregame and postgame stream before and after the Browns game.